Olis. Welcome everyone to another fantastic episode of the Faraway Bolt. In today's episode, we're gonna look at a very old and special piece of Thomas Wooden Railway merchandise history. A couple of videos ago, I showed you guys this, the 1997 Thomas Wooden Railway Yearbook. We spent an entire video just talking about this thing, and I thought it was a really fun video to show. It was just really fun just looking at all the different items available that year, and just look at all the graphics and images, and just talking about and browse through these things. Like, this is really magical stuff. And I always wanted a Thomas Wooden Railway Yearbook, and out of everything that came in that massive Thomas Wooden Railway lot that I showed you guys in the videos, I think that this is my favorite thing out of that whole lot, because as I said, I always wanted one of these, and now that I finally do, this thing is such a cool piece of Thomas merchandise. But I probably shouldn't have mentioned this in that video, but I forgot. This is not the only yearbook that I have in my collection, because I have this, the 1994 Thomas Wooden Railway Yearbook. Now, 1994 was a really interesting year for the Thomas brand. Season 4 was just around the corner. Actually, this one is dated June 1994, and Season 4 of Thomas & Friends released of November of that year, in the UK at least. So yeah, so this was released like a good 4 months before Season 4 release, so that's pretty interesting. But as for the Thomas Wooden Railway brand, 1993 was the very first year in which Thomas Wooden Railway toys were available in stores. I guess it technically started in 1992, but I kinda don't count that, because that year is really hard to keep track of, and I really don't understand it myself personally. So yeah, so 1993 was the very first year that Thomas Wooden Railway was officially available in stores. But 1994 was the very first year that they actually made a yearbook. And I feel like 1994 was the year that Thomas Wooden Railway truly started to gain traction. I feel like this is the year that people finally started to notice this range. And a lot of pretty interesting items debuted this year. Like, these 2 years were Wooden Railway's first impression of this range to the general public, and you can tell because the cover is really simple. We have a nice looking picture of a Wooden Railway Thomas next to a blue Boyd. I think I have this Thomas actually. It's my 1993 Thomas that I showed you guys in my collection videos. And so yeah, so you can tell that this thing looks ancient. Here we have a really crude drawing of the Thomas Steam Cloud logo. And so yeah, so the cover is really simple looking, but it looks appealing. Like, it definitely looks like a good first impression of what Thomas Wooden Railway is. What can you expect from it? But we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. So in this video, it's gonna be in the similar format to the 1997 one. We're just gonna look at this and just, talk about it and say unique stuff about it. So without further ado, let's get started. So yeah, so we're gonna open this thing up. Lovely. Introducing the magical world of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway System. Even though it was introduced in 1993, 1994 was the very first good commercial year for Thomas Wooden Railway. And now I know for a fact that Thomas Wooden Railway is in fact made of wood. The Wooden Railway System with personality. Now, this was such a good slogan because I feel like it truly defines what Thomas Wooden Railway is. Thomas Wooden Railway, of course, wasn't the very first wooden track system available. There was stuff like Brio and Imaginarium and other copycats like that. But Thomas Wooden Railway offered something that the other ones didn't, and that is personality. And this yearbook is gonna really reflect core principal values of Thomas Wooden Railway, I feel. What Thomas Wooden Railway was always meant to be. We have a little letter by Learning Curve Toys. I'm just gonna read this letter real quick. Dear customer, I am proud to bring you a selection from Learning Curve Toys, one of the world's premier toy manufacturers of quality toys for children. Our dedication to children's imagination has prompted us to gather and create some of the most fun, developmental toys on the market. By combining the classic elements of durable materials with vibrant colors, fun shapes, and even state-of-the-art technology, the collection of playthings is created specially for small hands and developing minds. We believe that creative play is important in child's development, and that is why we are committed to bringing you toys that enhance coordination, develop motor skills, and encourage imagination and wholesome peer interaction. The toys on the following pages can be purchased at many fine specialty toy train and hobby stores worldwide. Welcome to the world of Learning Curve Toys. We are certain you will find something special for your child within these pages. Sincerely, John Lee, President of Learning Curve Toys. Man, reading this letter, I'm gonna cry. It's gonna bring a tear to my eyes. Here we have the second page of this thing. It's weird that they're focusing on the play tables first. They always usually focus first on the items, but I feel like the idea of why they're showing the tables first is because they want to focus you first at Thomas Wooden Railway's flagship set at the time, the 100-piece set. It has exactly 100 pieces, and for the first 3 or 4 years of Thomas Wooden Railway, this was the set to buy. And so these pictures were taken in 1993, and you can tell because all the track doesn't have the clickety-clack design. You see, in the first year of Thomas Wooden Railway, the track wasn't anything special. It looked like any other generic brand. I think we're gonna see like I think 1994 was the year that they introduced the Clickity-clack track, and that was one of Learning Curve's first smart moves with this range, because it definitely brought a lot of personality and life into the Thomas Wooden Railway system. You know, something distinct enough that made the Thomas track like so appealing and different from the other competition. And so yeah, so the 100-piece set is really cool, and when you pair it with the playboard, because the playboard was specifically designed for this thing, this set looks really, really magical. Here we have like the set with the playboard and play table. Here we have like the play table, the dimensions of it. Here we have the playboard. It's just some playmats to play with your Thomas Wooden Railway system. Like, it's really, really interesting stuff, I gotta say. One day, Thomas 100-piece set, one day, you will be in my hands, and I will be awesome. And so yeah, so that was the first 2 pages of Thomas Wooden Railway 1994 yearbook. We're gonna do this. Lovely. Here is the vehicle section, aka the engines, rolling stock, and vehicles. The unique Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway system captures the hearts of children with the unforgettable personalities from the stories seen on Shiny Time Station on PBS. So you see, like in the early 90s, the only way you could watch Thomas and Friends on TV was through the show Shiny Time Station, and as we know, that was a half-hour variety program with Thomas episodes sprinkled in between. And so every single piece of Thomas the Tank Engine merchandise in the US had the Shiny Time Station branding on it, because basically both of the shows were hand in hand. As Thomas grew more successful in the US, like the Shiny Time Station brand slowly continued to disappear, and by the late 1990s, Thomas and Friends was able to stand on its own with its own logo and its own branding. But we're not at that point yet, so that's why like they mentioned like Shiny Time Station still. And so yeah, so these are all of the items available not only in 1994 but also the ones available in 1993. And so this could be considered like the first and second wave of Thomas Wooden Railway. For the first wave in 1993, we had like of course the main 7 characters: Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby. But we also had Annie, Clarabelle, Bill, Ben, Henrietta, Terrence, and the Troublesome Truck. That was a really good solid first wave. Like, it has all of the main characters, some secondary ones, and some rolling stock. And Terrence is cool. I don't have a lot of 1993 items. Of course, they're really rare to come by nowadays, but I gotta say, the few ones that I do have are some of the most unique pieces of Thomas merchandise that I have. They represent a really bygone era of Thomas Wooden Railway, where all of the items were handcrafted in the USA. It just has that beautiful, rough feel that can never be replicated again anywhere else. Even though I do love the way Thomas Wooden Railway looked at this era, I do think it was a smart move to move all of the Thomas Wooden Railway production to China, because that led to some fantastic quality product toys, I would say. All of the engines have fantastic finishes to them. So yeah, so that was a pretty smart move. But in 1994, like, this was a really, really decent selection of characters. And in 1994, we had even more characters to look at. 1994 saw the introduction of Donald, Douglas, Daisy, Boko, Duck, the Troublesome Brakeman, the Sodor Line Caboose, Henry's Forest Lock Car, the Nafford Express Coach, the Tiptop Milk Tanker, Sir Topham Hatt's Car, a really unique and interesting item, I gotta say, Crosby Station Cargo Truck, the Sodor Bay Tugboat, and the Sodor Bay Cargo Ship. Oh, and Harold the Helicopter was also available in 1993. Oops. So yeah, so we definitely got a more variety of rolling stock and characters in 1994. Like, it's really interesting because like none of these items are the ones that were available in stores. Like, all of these are the prototype versions, and none of these look the same as what you would buy in stores. So that was pretty weird. But man, they really introduced a lot of characters this time around, like almost double the amount. And we had some items whose only purpose was to expand your Thomas world, for example. Like these items are not even like characters. For example, Sir Topham Hatt's Car, or the Crosby Station Cargo Truck, or the Tugboat and Cargo Ship. They only exist to enhance your Thomas world, to make your Thomas layout feel a little bit more alive. So yeah, so all of these items are really, really cool. And I think out of the ones that I have on this page are Thomas, Percy, Boko, Henrietta, Terrence, and Annie, Clarabelle, and I think that's it. Oh, and the Tiptop Milk Tanker. How can I forget the Tiptop Milk Tanker? The character selection is not as interesting, of course, as the 1997 pamphlet I showed before, because like that one has way more characters than this. But for 1994, and being the second year of Thomas Wooden Railway, I think you had a pretty decent selection of characters. So yeah, so that's pretty neat. The Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway system will capture the hearts of parents who care about their children's development through play, as well as millions of children who spend their mornings or afternoons with Thomas and his friends. Man, I'm gonna cry. So yeah, so this is a really interesting selection of characters, as you can see, but it's time to move on to the next page. Lovely. Introducing new Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway System Clickity-clack track. Patent pending. See it, hear it, feel it. Our new and unique track design brings the friendly clickety-clack chatter of the busy wooden railway every child's playtime. Utilizing our traditional track pieces, this new element adds excitement, new dimension to this classic toy. Man, they were really proud of the clickety-clack design, weren't they? I mean, they kind of stole the idea and they were laser suit for it, but let's not worry about that now. You see, adding something, even if it is just groups that do nothing, brings so much life to these toys. It's unbelievable. And in 1994, like all of the pieces were updated with the clickety-clack design, but we didn't have a lot of variety of tracks yet. We only had like all of the different variety of straight pieces, the curved pieces, the B switches, the crossing, the switches, a turntable, riser tracks, and ascending track risers, and the special pieces like the male and female pieces. We don't have a lot of pieces this year because like we don't have a lot of interesting pieces. I feel like in the future, like Thomas Railway will ensure that like you had like more interesting pieces to play with, but for 1994, like this is all we had. But it's not a bad selection. Like I feel like this is like the most basic pieces you would need in a layout, and I think it's a pretty good selection overall. Here we have it on the second page. This is more of the accessories. As the days pass on the island of Sodor, families grow, and the trees change color with the seasons. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, trademark, wooden railway accessories bring everyday situations to life. There's not a lot of variety this year with the accessories. Of course, we have like a set of signs, the trees, like a set of houses, the family of 4, the workman park, the Sir Topham hat, and 2 workmen and 1 engineer. This is the pack that I showed you guys in one of my videos, but it's like this is the older one because like back in the day, all of the figurines like were made with stickers before they finished to that, you know, glossy paint finish to them. And also the signs were like were really different. Like you can see all of the wood here, and the ones that I had, like the ones that I had, and you probably too, have all of the item painted in its particular color. Also the trees are different. Like I don't think I have like any of these houses. I have the buffers with 2 signs. We have seasonal trees. We have the cow on the line pack. So this is meant to be based on the episode A Cow on the Line. So this is Bluebell and this is like her calf. Really interesting episode to base a pack on. Her calf is here, ready to go to market. And also we have the Thomas Comes to Breakfast pack. So what you essentially get here is a set of buffers, a fence, and the station master's house, so you can replicate the story of Thomas Comes to Breakfast. So yeah, so I believe these are the very first 2 like story themed accessories and packs in Thomas from Railway history, so that's pretty neat. I would happen to love all of these packs in the box one day. It came with such unique packaging that is really different from the 1996 era of Thomas Wooden Railway, and even, you know, the 2000s era. The Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway system offers a wide variety of personality to inspire your children's imagination. We encourage you to play with your child, incorporating the values and lessons of Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends in your child's play to help develop these values in their daily lives. No, I don't think I'm gonna do that, okay, thanks. Over a bridge, through a tunnel, past a windmill, and back to the station. It's all in a day's work for Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends as they return to the engine shed for rest at the end of each day to prepare for tomorrow's work. So this is basically all of the destinations available in 1994. Again, we don't have the greatest selection of destinations yet. I think the following year, 1995, is where the destinations truly started to get good. But these are such unique pieces of merchandise still. Like some of these were classic staples of Thomas Wooden Railway. And as I said in the previous video, like learning curve strategy with the accessories and destinations was just, you know, stuff that you would see on the show and by extension in real life. Bridges, a lighthouse, the windmill. You see, the way it should be is that the show impulses the toys, not the other way around. So yeah, so the destinations include the windmill. Of course, if you have a Thomas Wooden Railway layout, you need to have a windmill. It's a classic staple of Thomas Wooden Railway layouts. We also have the special engine shed, a single stone tunnel, the water refilling tank tower. Alright, Elsbridge Station, which doesn't really look like Elsbridge Station. It kind of looks more like Wilsford to me. We also have the Elsbridge platform, which I love this piece. I would love to own it one day. This looks way more like Elsbridge than this, but these 2 items were meant to complement each other, especially on the 100 piece set. The gristmill with watermill. This is more meant to be like the Wooden Railway's version of the watermill. And yes, like I have this piece and I have one of the fences, but unfortunately it doesn't have one of the roofs. This was a new item this year apparently, and also new to this year we have the Sodor Bay Lighthouse. I have this piece and I gotta say it's one of my favorite pieces in the collection. The Titmuth covered bridge, which I don't know where the hell they got the Titmuth covered bridge. We never see a Titmuth covered bridge in the show, but it's a really neat piece, I guess. And also the Archstone bridge, which this is one of the most classic pieces of Thomas Wooden Railway. There was a lot of layouts that included this, and they refused to discontinue it for years. Like I believe it was like available since at least the early 2010s, so it lasted a good 18 years in the market. So that's the destinations for for you. And so here we have all of the sets available in 1994. Again, we don't have the greatest selection of sets. We only have 4 sets to look at, and they're really basic. Like we mentioned in the previous video, like Wooden Railways, like naming schemes for the sets were instant system set number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each one would become more complicated than the last. And so yeah, so barring the 100-piece set, these are the only 4 sets you could get in 1994. It's kind of lame, but it's the second year of Thomas Wooden Railway on their market. I'm not expecting like such great big sets. Our instant system sets are a wonderful way to introduce Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway system into your child's creative play. With 4 sets to choose from, we offer you various combinations of Thomas the Tank Engine, his friends, and accessories to meet the needs of your child. A perfect way to begin your collection or add to your already existing pieces. Clickity-clack track is not yet available in instant system sets. So yeah, so this is like the transitional year between the older track system and the clickety-clack track system. So it's like I find it really interesting that like they specify that like you might not get the clickety-clack sets, the clickety-clack track with these sets. So we have the ever iconic circle set. It's a circle. The instant system set number 2 is this one. It has Thomas, a truck, a loop of track, and a shed. I believe this was the very first Thomas Wooden Railway set available in 1992. The instant system set number 3 has Toby, Henrietta, Thomas, some houses, and it's just like basically like 2 loops. And the instant system set number 4, which was replaced by the Day at the Work set at some point. It's basically the figure 8 layout with a bunch of houses and like a really lovely figurines all around, and the windmill. And so yeah, so these are really basic sets. They're not the most amazing thing out there, I know, but it's pretty cool that each one of them came with its own special unique playmat. It's something that they removed in later years, and I wish they kept that idea. It was a really cool idea. And so yeah, so that was that page, and here is technically the end of the 1994 yearbook, because after this, all of these are just layout ideas. For simple to complex, Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Wooden Railway adaptability encourages and keeps up to your child's growth and development. Here are a few ideas for a play system. So yeah, so these are just the most basic layouts that you can make with these pieces, because you say because like Thomas Wooden Railway didn't have a lot of destinations to offer, so and you don't even get like a picture of the finished thing. You just get like the layout and the layout pieces. So if anyone wants to replicate this at home, be my guest. Have idea layout number 1. It looks like this. Idea layout number 2, and it looks like this. Idea layout number 3, and it looks like this. Idea layout number 4, and it looks like this. Now we're getting into the really complicated stuff. This is the idea layout 5, and it looks like this. Idea layout 6, and it looks like this. So yeah, as I said, like the only 3 main destinations that they use is the special engine shed, the tunnel, and the bridge. It's not as amazing as the 1997 layouts that I show. But if I was a kid in 1994 and had all of these pieces, like yeah, I would have definitely recreated them. But yeah, I'm not gonna argue that these are the most unique items ever. And so that's a wrap. Here we have the back cover of it. It's basically like a continuation of the front cover. So it's like if you do this is a really lovely image. It's almost cool enough to be a poster. Here's the learning curve logo with all the boring copyright info. And so yeah, this is really a striking cover, wouldn't you say? And so that was the 1994 Thomas Wooden Railway yearbook. You see, for being the first 2 years that Thomas Wooden Railway was available in stores, I think that it had a pretty good selection of characters and items. But yeah, it doesn't hold a candle to what came after it. And I think that 1995, the year after this, was the very first year that Thomas Wooden Railway truly started to hit its prime. Truly a gem in the collection, as you can see. An antique, a museum piece of a long bygone era of Thomas history. This was a really cool piece of paper. And I feel like Thomas Wooden Railway didn't hit that sweet spot yet. It truly wasn't in its prime yet. But even so, this was a really cool trip down memory lane of what Thomas Wooden Railway was set to do when it was first introduced. Be simple, charming, and the wooden railway system with personality. And with that, I have nothing more to say. Like, it's a really cool piece of paper. It's in really good condition, I gotta say. And again, thanks to Sir Duke 1995 for selling this to me. You are really awesome, my friend. It's a really cool piece, and compared to what came after, like the 1997 release, like it doesn't have a lot of stuff comparing it to that. But like for being 1994, it still has a lot of stuff to keep you entertained, I gotta say. But believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, these two are not the only yearbooks that I own in my collection, as I have another one. Tune in next time and we will see the final yearbook that I have in my collection, the 2011 Thomas Wooden Railway yearbook. And this is gonna be a really interesting video. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I definitely enjoyed making it, and be sure to leave a comment and subscribe. And also, if you like my content, you can always support me on my Patreon or by becoming a Faraway channel member. So link in the description for that. So yeah, I have nothing more to say. We're gonna look at this one in the future video. And with all of that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios!